Good afternoon, it's Pete from FigLife.com, and today I'm going to look at this fig right here called Violet Sepor. This is a fig that is very similar, or maybe the same, as Bourjassotte Grise and Socorro Black. They're all very good and pretty similar figs. So let's take a closer look at Violet Sepor. All right, this is my Violet Sepor tree right here. It's actually right next to my Bourjassotte Grise tree, which is right here, and my Socorro Black tree, which is right over here. So I have all three of these here on the deck. They produced very good figs, really nice berry flavored figs, and they're all very similar trees. You know, some people say that this may, that maybe these are the same variety. I'm not really sure about that. But undoubtedly they are very similar. Looks like I need to loosen this up a little bit. It's kind of choking off the, oops. There we go. That's no good. Anyway, yeah, this is Violet Sepor, and come on. There we go. All right, I've had this tree for several years. It's been one of my favorites. It's got kind of a, one thing about this tree that is somewhat unique. Whenever I see somebody looking at Violet Sepor, I always look for this characteristic. It's got these bulges here where the nodes are. You can see it on the younger branches here. These bulges on each of the nodes. And some varieties have that, show that more than others. Some don't have those bulges at all where the nodes are. But Violet Sepor seems to have pretty pronounced nodes on it, like that. It gets that sort of lumpy sort of look to the trunk, and I see that personally. I see that more on Violet Sepor than I do on Bourjassotte Grise. I mean, you do see it on Bourjassotte Grise as well, but it's not quite as pronounced, at least for me on my tree. And I guess I could check Socorro Black while I'm at it. So here's Socorro Black. You see something similar to that on Socorro Black. Although again, I don't think it's quite as pronounced on Socorro Black. So, maybe some minor differences there. Not sure. Maybe not. Similar trees. But this tree is really productive. Produces lots of fruit for me. It's in its third year here, and just look at all that fruit. And just really, the thing about these varieties is the quality of this fruit is just so good. It's just such a rich berry flavor, and it has a real good taste. It's not, I wouldn't say it's impervious to spoilage, but it's pretty good about not spoiling. Look at all these fruits. Just a ton of fruits on Violet Sepor. And here's Bourjassotte Grise next to it. I mean, similar sort of thing from Bourjassotte Grise. I think, if someone were to ask me, well, of these three, which is your favorite? I don't know. They're all so similar. I guess I would have to say Violet Sepor. Just because it's a little more... the bulging here on the trunk, the flavor of the fruit is all pretty similar. So I don't know, I guess I'd go with this one, but they're all good. They're all three of them are really good. So with that, let's go take a look at the fruit from Violet Sepor. Okay, here it is. This is Violet Sepor. We did get a lot of rain the last couple days, and so I got a little bit of splitting. I wouldn't say this variety is bad about splitting at all, but if like most figs, if you give it a ton of rain, you're gonna have some issues with splitting. But in general, this is not, I wouldn't put this in a category of bad splitters or anything like that. So you can see on this fig, it's pretty characteristic in terms of the coloring. You get the dark coloring coming in towards the bottom, and then towards the top, oftentimes here in Virginia, it'll stay this lighter color. That's pretty typical of all three of these varieties. that I mentioned, and in fact I have the other two right here. So this is Bourjassotte Grise right here, and this other one, this is slightly smaller, but this is not characteristic of this variety. This is Socorro Black. So similar sort of thing, you know, it's getting the dark with the lighter coloring up top, and also a little bit of an open eye. Here's Bourjassotte Grise for comparison with the eye, and that's just, again, from the rain. You're getting that eye open up a little bit and some splitting. Let me just put all these by each other here, so you can see the look of these. You know, this one's Violet Sepor. This is Bourjassotte Grise right here on the right. You know, the shape of these looks a little bit different, but that's just, I think, you know, fig to fig variation. I don't think that's necessarily typical. I'd say the shapes of these are pretty, you know, typically pretty similar. The coloring obviously pretty similar. This is Socorro Black. Normally the size of Socorro Black is more closely similar to these other two. This particular fig is somewhat of a small Socorro Black. So you can see they all, you know, they have a lot of similarities. And when I cut these open, I'm sure you'll see that the insides look similar and the taste is similar. But let's just put those two aside and go back to Violet Sepor. So let me cut this open, and we'll see how the inside looks. All right. Well, it finally dried off a little bit here in Northern Virginia. It's been terribly rainy, and it looks like we may get just a little bit of a thunder shower here in a minute, but for the most part it's been dry all day, and that's a good thing. And it means that you know, the other day I put a video together and I talked about how sometimes you get a plate full of figs, and sometimes you get a garbage bag full of figs. In other words, the garbage bag full of figs being like the rotted, you know, figs that you can't eat, and that's your harvest. And last couple days it's been more of the garbage bag full of figs. But today, and I'm just gone through a few of my trees. You know, this is what I'm getting from my figs today. So happy to have it finally dry off here, and happy to be able to get some figs again. But back to Violet Sepor. So I have it right here, and these all three of these are just great figs. You know, I would recommend any one of these. Socorro Black, Violet Sepor, or Bourjassotte Grise. Let me go ahead and try this. So this is Violet Sepor. Yeah, so good. So good. Just a really sweet flavor, berry flavor. You know, kind of just a standard berry flavor, like berry with not a lot of craziness in it. You know, not a lot of unusual flavors. Just a really nice berry flavor for me. So here's another Violet Sepor. Yeah, really good. So I'll go ahead and compare it here. I'll try one of these Bourjassotte Grise figs, but just from my memory, you know, I'd say these taste very similar. Yeah, I mean, it's similar sort of taste. This one in particular is a little less flavorful, but I think that's just because the rain we've been having, you know, maybe my Bourjassotte Grise tree got a little bit more rain or something. Because these normally taste pretty similar. Yeah, I think the Bourjassotte Grise in this case is just a little more watered down than the Violet Sepor, but I don't know if that is something that should be construed as a variety difference. It's probably just a fig to fig variation there. And then I got Socorro Black here. Yeah, kind of halfway in between the Violet Sepor that tasted really good and the Bourjassotte Grise that was a little watered down from the rain. This one's kind of middle of the road. But they all have a similar sort of flavor. Really juicy, really good berry flavor, and and you know, just overall a great fig. And again, I would recommend any of these three for a grower on the East Coast. And actually, I've heard these do well all throughout the United States. You know, you hear a lot of people from California, Texas, you know, all over the place saying great things about, well, typically it's Bourjassotte Grise or Socorro Black. It seems like you don't hear as much about Violet Sepor, but all three of those are really good. All right, well, that was Violet Sepor, and you saw the comparison there with those other two varieties that are very similar. So hopefully you enjoyed this video. If you got any questions for me, my email, pete@figlife.com, and check out my website, www.figlife.com. Otherwise, if you enjoyed this video, please hit subscribe. Thanks.